Hi, today I'll be telling y'all a little bit about orchids. I'll tell y'all some general information, where they're from, how to take care of them, and how to repot them. A common misconception with orchids is that they're difficult to take care of. However, this is untrue. They're actually very easy to take care of. I hope anything that I say today can help anyone who someday plans on owning their own orchids. There are over 26,000 different species of orchids and they can grow almost anywhere. They're most commonly found in Asia, South America, and Central America, tropical places, but they also have been found on an island near Antarctica. Some orchids grow anchored to trees or shrubs, while some grow in rocks or rocky soil, and others grow in grasslands or forests. They can live in very many different types of places. They can also live for a very long time. No one knows exactly how long they can live, but if you take good care of them, then they can live almost forever. There are some orchids that are alive now that were alive in the early 1800s. Orchids can be used for many different things. Orchid scents are also often used for perfumes. Vanilla comes from orchids, which is used in baking. Not all vanillas, but some kinds of vanillas. Drinks and rums are also made from orchids. Some people like to eat the root of orchids. Since before 28,000 BC, the Chinese have made herbal medicines from orchids. Most common use of orchids is just the enjoyment of the flower in their home. In China, the orchid represents one of the four gentlemen, which is one of the four seasons. The Phalaenopsis is the most common type of orchid in a household, and of the Phalaenopsis, there's over 60 different types. The Phalaenopsis is said to resemble a flying moth, so they are often called the moth orchid. They are originally from South Asia and the Philippines and northern Austria. These kind avoid direct sunlight and like high humidity. Orchids bloom for only a few weeks, but in a household they can bloom for up to 3 months or even longer. Orchids can live in any temperature, so that's why they're very liked in a household, because no matter what your temperature in a house is, it usually will stay alive. The most common temperatures for orchids, though, is between 65 and 85 degrees. They are very simple to take care of because you only have to water them about once a week, just as long as you keep their soil damp and make sure you don't overwater. If you overwater, then the roots can rot and it can cause it to die, but if you underwater, then it will die because it's not getting enough water. They like to bloom from late winter and early spring. The flower of an orchid ranges from 2 inches to 5 inches. They come in pink, white, lavender, yellow, and they can be solid, striped, or even polka dotted. Once an orchid grows, you will need to repot it. The roots of an orchid don't like to be too tight together, but they don't like to have to branch out and try to reach far and far. It stresses out the plant. So when you repot it, you need to make sure that the pot you're replanting it to isn't too big. To repot them, you simply remove the plant from the container and let all the loose dirt fall away. You need to trim away any of the dead roots and position it in a new container, making sure it's not too big. Then you add the new potting material. Make sure the new material you add is specifically used for orchids. When you're finished planting it, you want to pack the dirt in tight, but not too tight, but you should be able to lift the plant from the stem and the pot not fall away. I hope that any of this information could help anyone. It's very simple to find information on orchids. I found some information in a couple of books, one by Stephen Frowney called Moth Orchids that was published in 2008 and by Timber. I also found one by Thomas Sheehan that was published in 2002 in London, and it was called Ultimate Orchids. They're also easy to find on the internet. I found one internet source called Orchid Care and Tips, and it didn't have the year that it was published or anyone who wrote it, but it was just a bunch of different people commented but there's also a lot of different websites that you can find to help you. Thank you.